excuse my voice because I scream too much at the concert. Okay. Let's participate in a little experiment. Let's say I have 2 workers and I'm trying to build a huge, big Lego skyscraper. And I have 2 workers. Say the first worker is the gentleman in plaid. And say the second worker is the gentleman in the blue playing solitaire. After, I tell them to begin, tell them you guys build the best skyscraper you can, I'm going to put the first worker in 78-degree temperature. I'm going to put the second worker, which is the worker in blue, in 95-degree temperature. Now, out of the class, which worker do you guys think will do the best? Worker 1? Worker 2? Great, so most of you are correct. Now, the reason being is worker 2 is at a big disadvantage because he's in hotter temperatures, more discomfort to him. He's hot, he's probably sweaty, smells a little bit. I'm not saying you do, but you get the point. Which brings me to what all of this is. My name is Shady, and my proposition is that air conditioning is a necessity and acts in the best interest of the welfare of society. Now, throughout this speech, you're going to be listening to a lot of definitions and a lot of terminology that I'm going to be using, so I'd like to define it in a more clear aspect. I'd like to define necessity is defined as an essential need, welfare of society, which is to advance and upkeep of health. And throughout these, I'll be using a lot of the definitions in a mix of ideals, which mixes both ethos and pathos arguments. So firstly, I'm going to be talking about how AC helps and actually acts in the best interest of the health, and I'll be proving that through a lot of experiments and novels. Secondly, I'll be talking about how air conditioning actually does well for our economic growth as a country and as a whole. And thirdly, I'll be talking about how air conditioning is actually good for our education and boosts student performance. And for that, I'll be using a case study from a college university called UCLA. Go Bruins, fight on. So, to start, let's start talking about how air conditioning affects our health and why it's a necessity. Air quality is an essential aspect of how we live, and it's our unalienable right. We can all agree to that. Hence the reason why co-author Faye McQuiston made a novel about air conditioning and included evidence that AC vents create currents throughout any building that you are in that make it difficult for insects and pests to travel around and make havoc of the air quality in itself. Think of it like you're trying to swim through a rip current in the ocean. Such forces restrict movement. So a lot of that becomes a standard of air quality. In McQuiston's novel, her name's kind of hard to pronounce, she highlights how AC intakes are the majority designed to take out hazardous particles from the air, such as pollens and allergens. Now, a lot of these particles that are outside, a lot of people are allergic to a lot of certain pollens. So inside, it's not a really big problem because the air conditioning, according to McQuiston's novel, uses a lot of its air currents to restrict that. And also, according to a guide posted on studentscholarships.org, told you guys my throat hurts, it's horrible. And it's titled Refrigeration Mechanics. Now, on this website, it's a very big blog where a lot of students can share information and data. And on that website, temperatures, in fact, affect human hydration as well. So that's a big part of how we look at the way our health is maintained. So, according to that study, about 9 people who drink water from 90 degrees up probably drink twice as much as the average person who drinks water. So AC also helps in human hydration as well. Now, through the elimination of pollens, insects, and efficiency of water consumption, AC is obviously a great advocate for health and making it a necessity. Now, let's shift some gears and talk about the economic benefits as well behind AC and the disadvantages of not having it in our society. According to a 2006 Indian census, data derived showed that workers with 2 control groups, one without AC and one with AC, the ones with AC actually performed quite better and were of happier levels. Now, how you can prove this is Simple. If you guys go to school in 90-degree weather, are you really expected to have the same test scores if you were to be 75 degrees? Case study says, not really. So and with that said, these happy workers and this boost in job performance, it's inevitable to boost GDP up as well. And currently, over 100 million households in the United States, according to the U.S. Census from the Department of Energy itself, those people are all using AC units. Now, this could be a policy debate, and I can start talking about what should happen, and if AC was actually paid for by the government, which would be, God, great. If that were to happen, then economic growth were to even boost even higher than that. So with AC being a boost in job performance, workplace satisfaction, and a general industry size, the economy grows in a big benefit because of this necessity. Stay with me. The last aspect that supports my initial claim is pertaining to education, an important topic in our modern world. Every student in his grade is a reflection of his teacher, I believe. And at UCLA, go Bruins, a case study was made by Dr. Glenn Earthman that presented how certain students and faculty react to certain temperatures. And his finding, she showed that higher test scores are recorded as well as quicker response times to controlled questions. Average students put about 43 seconds when they were in high temperatures, and the average student put about 25 to 30 seconds when he was at low temperatures. Furthermore, he identifies that every student becomes generally more peaceful at schools with your happier acceptance rate, and that's why your professor is just so happy every day he shows up, because he has some great AC. So in closing, air conditions may have more an effect than you may think on both our health and our education system. Our respirations improved, our industries expand immensely, and our students perform better. So you can thank the modern world air quality for that. And with that said, I hopefully have opened your minds with the ideas behind my proposition that air conditioning is a necessity and acts in the best interest of the welfare of society. Thank you.
All right, well, the proposition is identified, but it's in two parts, so you've got two different claims there. It would make more sense to maybe put them into the support, those would be your supporting claims, and then have a generic topic that covers both of those things. There is a preview of the supporting material, but none of the supporting points are stated as claims. They're mostly narrative statements, so like it's an informative speech rather than declarative statements, and you want to be consistent about using the declarative language. The controversy on the issue, look, everybody likes AC. The question is whether or not it really has the effect on productivity that you're talking about, whether it makes enough difference in people's ability to learn. That's where we're going to need a lot more data to make those arguments. And I think that that's a bit of a problem because the data that you provide is sketchy. The material seems like it's being organized, but you're not always clear with your transitions between the points. And the minor points, I think, need to be, like I said, phrased as declarative sentences to make it easier for the audience to follow your argument. I do think you do a good job trying to explain the concepts behind your arguments. That helps quite a bit on a lot of those issues. But then you're dependent mostly on hypothetical examples, kind of vague references to some of the quotes that talk about how nice it is to have AC. The one novel that you cite about the air quality issues, it sounds like a novel. If it's novel, that seems like it's fictional in nature. That's very speculative. It shouldn't be hard to find some data that talks about the filtration process that's used by air conditioning and some of the other issues that are mentioned there. So since you found those ideas, I think you need to find evidence that supports it. And even if you're going to cite the novel, you should have direct quotes rather than the paraphrases that you're using here, which I think are also problematic. I get a vague reference to an Indian study. I've got, again, a hypothetical on hydration. There's a little bit of citation of a study that's done at UCLA. No go Bruins. That doesn't help your credibility at all. That hurts you. All right. Throwing in the fight on, that's probably going to make the Bruin people unhappy, and mixing it with me, I'm not sure that pleases me very much. All right. So I think you've got a good idea here for an argument, but I think it's underdeveloped, and you need to build it a lot more. Presentation issues, you want to be a little bit careful. You're kind of, where are you? I know you're over there somewhere. You're sort of meandering around at the beginning. I know you're trying to kind of create a relationship with the audience, that sort of thing, but you end up turning your back, and it looks like it's aimlessness rather than purposefulness. And I think you want to be careful about that. All right, thank you.